Good morning, Lustre community. It's my pleasure to welcome you, and it's also my pleasure to give you a little bit of insight to what EOFS did over the last 12 months since we met at LUG in Miami. Let me go back a little bit into history also for those who were not there at this time, and give you some insight about our membership. So actually the foundation of EOFS as a European community corporation was in 2010. So we celebrate our 5th anniversary in December of this year. It was pretty much the same time when OpenSFS was founded, and there is one reason behind it. The reason behind it is, and was, that we saw Lustre in a crisis in these days. And because we wanted to save Lustre and give Lustre a good foundation, the community came together. And we saw a spirit for that community in 2010 which was amazing. It was filled meeting rooms from Aptus to the LUG meetings, from Europe to the United States. People crowded together and said, what can be done to keep that file system alive? And the outcome was OpenSFS, and the outcome was EOFS as the two platforms representing the Lustre community, actually representing you. The users, the developers, the research centers, the universities. Now, after 5 years, after research centers like the Forschungszentrum in Jülich, like CEA in Paris, like NetApp, like HP, like Intel, former WEM Cloud when we started, LRC, Seagate, former Xyratex, Bull, my company Partech, T Platforms from Russia, DDN, universities. It was that spirit who let the people join together and said, we gotta do something, we have to contribute. Now, the new members we got in the last couple of weeks during our last General Assembly is the Technical University of Dresden, and it's the DKRC, which is the German Climate Computing Center, and the university in Mainz. We had a board meeting and we had a General Assembly just recently on February 25th in Munich, and we elected a new board. The board is now represented by the chair HP, Frank Bethke. He will join us at LUG here later this afternoon. It is the vice chair CEA, Aurélien. We all know him. He is one of the guys who is really living Lustre and helping a lot. We have Bull, we have GSI. We are very proud for the first time on the board level to have Intel with Brett. We have LRC with Arne Bode, and we have myself as director, and we have Jacques Foucrier, and JC is together with me doing the day-to-day business. So the board makes a decision, and then they need somebody to work it out and work on it, and the two guys called directors, JC and myself, are doing it. Now, let me have a look to the activities in 2014, and you might ask me, why is EOFS bringing up LUG? LUG is here in the United States and it's hosted by OpenSFS, and that is true, but I have these activities because the spirit we had half a decade ago was that the two platforms representing the community should be in a way handling and being responsible for the Lustre-related activities, like LUG, like the LAD in Paris, which is also an EOFS and OpenSFS activity, the Lustre Developer Summit in Reims. We had a booth at the ISC in Leipzig. We had 2 booths there. We had a breakfast meeting which brought at a very early time in the morning those who are really interested in Lustre together after quite a short night, because all the booth parties happened the evening before. And we had, of course, the SC214 in New Orleans. What are we planning for this year? You see ISC, first time in Frankfurt, July 13 till July 15, in Germany, in Frankfurt, and the booth is already there. You can watch the website. It will be again a joint booth of OpenSFS and EOFS. We hosted it as EOFS. We have a breakfast meeting during ISC again, and we have also a BOF. A couple of weeks ago we heard from the organizers that the joint presentation and proposal coming from OpenSFS and EOFS was taken. I think it was 1 out of 19, so we are quite proud. And we have that BOF during ISC and will report about the latest development of Lustre jointly together. There will also be, and this is famous in the meantime, during ISC at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, there is a get-together during ISC, opening hours for getting together with beer. That is in Germany quite normal. It's a part of the working day, of course, but you won't believe how many Lustre fans ISC has. They all get together, join us. We have the opportunity bringing companies and research centers and developers together, have a glass of beer during the exhibition, and really talk business in a nice way. We are going to host LAD 15, EOFS, OpenSFS, organized by our friends from CEA and Bull and EOFS help. It will be this time in Paris, in the center of the city. So we go from the Marriott in Denver to the Marriott in Paris. Actually, we stay inside Marriott September 22nd till September 23rd. And we hope that you all make it for Paris to this very interesting event. And if you have further questions, you can ask Aurélien. He is very much involved with JC in the preparation of LAD. Now, I would like to come back to the idea we had 5 years ago. It was all about keeping Lustre alive, getting Lustre out of the emergency room. And I think we did that jointly together quite successfully. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Otherwise, Lustre's use on the top 100 and the top 500 list wouldn't be as high as it is. So one of the ideas was, when I was sitting together with the board of OpenSFS and with my colleagues in EOFS, we said, how can we further strengthen community? And the idea was that we talked to companies like Intel, heavily involved in development of Lustre, and also Seagate, and say, what can we do? So the negotiation started around LAD 2013 with Galen, with members of your board, myself, with Ken Claffey from Seagate, with representatives, Brent Gorda from Intel. And we said, it would be helpful and good if the community gets more of the Lustre assets out of the history of Lustre back to the 2 community platforms. So as a first step, we negotiated the asset purchase agreement, which you see signed on November 14 with Seagate and with OpenSFS and EOFS, for the transition of Lustre.org to the joint ownership of the 2 platforms, OpenSFS and EOFS. It was almost 2 years of negotiations, so you see it wasn't easy, but the spirit was there. We have to strengthen Lustre. Now, it was many meetings in Europe, in the United States, that we made it. But it proves that companies like Seagate, like companies like Intel, are seeing the need of community, Lustre community's involvement, but also taking over the responsibility. As a second part to that, of course, and I will use my time here at LUG to talk to my colleagues in OpenSFS with Charlie and his team to find out how we balance the workload coming out of maintaining the lustre.org website. It's always big fun to have something and to get something, but like with the pet you showed, Steve, just a couple of minutes ago, you get them, you are happy, but then you have to take care, and we have to do it in a joint way, and we, from EOFS, we will come up with our involvement and try to balance that so that the load is half and half on the both groups. But finally, I'm very happy and thankful, and would really like to thank Seagate, Ken Claffey, Galen, OpenSFS board, JC, our team in EOFS, that they were going for that contract, and finally we made it and are proudly co-owners now, OpenSFS and EOFS, of lustre.org for the community. So in a way, the website is back to you as the members of that community. At this point, let me highlight the spirit I was mentioning in the beginning, when Lustre was in crisis. 5 years later, if you would see yourself as the doctors getting that baby out of the emergency room, you were very successful, very successful. The users are happy, the developers are engaged, companies like Intel and Seagate are bringing in a lot of involvement and investment for the development, for the services. We have a lot of sites. We saw it on Steve's website, Steve's slide, being involved on the day-to-day development, and we have a jointly managed and maintained tree, which is maintained by Intel right now under the contract given by OpenSFS, but the money is coming, of course, through the community, and we should never forget that. So we said, having that scene still in our mind, that the full rooms of people trying to bring Lustre into a good future, that after half a decade of a successful recovery process, we have to think about and start a discussion about the different obligations and responsibilities. So who are the players? We have the two community platforms which are hosting the members of the Lustre community, which is companies, which is research centers, university, developers, users. We know that there are other solutions out there, but we love the openness, the involvement of many. We like the open source approach. We like that the tree is hosted in a way that you all, as users, according your wish list, you can bring that wish list into a decision process for the tree. You can send in your results of development to the tree, and the platforms make sure that this engagement will be seen in a result of an always better Lustre on our way to exascale. But to see that responsibility, to identify that the representatives of the communities plus the companies being heavily involved, like Intel, like Seagate, but also others who develop, that we have to adjust the contributions jointly together. And as Charlie said, I'm very happy that OpenSFS is setting up that process. During the open board meeting of OpenSFS tomorrow at 5, this should be the starting point for you as the owners of Lustre. After 5 years of creating that open platforms, that you are now coming back and helping us to discuss, to identify 5 years after, how should we go for the next 5 years and the future? What is needed? Should we go as OpenSFS and EOFS to continue our involvement as community representatives in getting more of that Lustre assets and take care for it? How should the contracts look like? Where does the money come from to have developers, or on a contract base to have more developers on the side of the companies being involved? So we have to see that our involvement should not only stay, but it should be also developed according to the needs of Lustre. So jointly together we were quite successful over the last 5 years, and now together with you, starting at LUG in Denver, we would like to start that process to identify the new framework of Lustre for an even better future of Lustre. And I'm inviting you all from EOFS side, as Charlie did from OpenSFS side. We only can promise you one thing. We will continue our support for Lustre as we did it the last half a decade. Most of the work people do are actually pro bono. Not too many are paid for the work they do, but they do it because they like the spirit of that community and they see the need of a solution Lustre is providing to you all. Thank you very much, and have a good and successful 2.5 days here in Denver at LUG. Thanks a lot.